Hey 7th graders, Mr. Chamberlain here with our final video lesson of the school year. Before we get into it, I want to thank you guys for a great school year. I know it didn't end the way we wanted to, but I enjoyed my time with you guys in the classroom until March 13th. I want to thank you for those of you that stayed engaged over this kind of unique at-home experience. Hopefully we'll be back in those classrooms this fall. I miss seeing you guys. Hopefully I'll get some of you guys in the media and communications class as 8th graders. Make sure you stop by and say hi. Certainly miss seeing you guys every day. All right, our last topic of the year is Antarctica. So Antarctica is our 7th continent. It is the continent, the southern part of the Earth, right over the South Pole. And it is the only continent where you don't have any permanent residents or people who live there. So it's not a country, there's no government there. As a matter of fact, Antarctica is protected by a treaty that limits what countries can and can't do there. Basically, the treaty says Antarctica can only be used for scientific research. So it's kind of cool. They actually have research stations down there. The most famous one is the Munson Scott Research Station, where scientists will go typically for 6 months at a time. Some people stay the whole year, but most of the time they go down for 6 months during like their summer season, which would be our winter. Because the climate's a little bit more moderate and you have sunlight, where it's, in the winter months there, it's dark almost the whole time. But there are a couple diehards who will stay there the whole year. Now, when you get down to Australia, you usually take a boat, to Antarctica, you take a boat down there. It's a pretty long journey. And when you're down there, you're there doing scientific research. So the treaty says that scientific research only, you must protect Antarctica's environment. You cannot use it for weapons testing. So let's say you develop a new weapon that you want to test. You can't go blow it up in Antarctica. You cannot use Antarctica for any resources. So let's say there's a large amount of gold or oil or another valuable material that's found there. You are not allowed to mine Antarctica either. It doesn't belong to anybody. It can only be used for scientific research. And you have people from many different countries, Japan, United States, and so on, who go down there and do research to kind of study the environment. Now, Antarctica's got a very harsh environment. It's cold, it's icy, the winds are extreme. Sometimes it's daylight almost the whole day, sometimes it's dark almost the whole day, depending on the time of year. But although it's a very harsh environment, it's also a very fragile environment, and that's the main concern, is that actions that we are taking here in the United States and in China and in India, where you have a lot of pollution, are having drastic impacts on the continent of Australia, leading to ice melting. Now, whether you believe in global warming or not, there's evidence that the ice is melting at an alarming rate in Antarctica, and big chunks of ice are falling off into the ocean, and big ice shelves are falling off in the ocean as well. Now, how does that impact us? Well, number one, we've talked about what happens if the ocean levels rise. Many coastal areas around the world could be flooded. We've talked about that several times, and we've taken a look at different maps that show the world of what it would look like if that were to take place. It also has a huge impact on the food chain and the ecosystems of Antarctica. So let's talk about that for a second. So on the ice, there's actually little plants that live there. And when the ice melts, the plants die. And the organism or the animal that eats those plants on the ice are called krill. Krill are kind of like little shrimp-like creatures that are kind of like the first step of that food chain. And then, fish eat the krill, and penguins eat the fish, and other things eat the penguins. And if the krill die off, kind of like that cuts off the food chain, and you're going to start seeing it kind of go to other species as well. So, the book kind of summarizes it as krill is the main food source for many larger species of Antarctic animals. Less plant life means less krill, and less krill threatens the survival of other animals. So you have the ice melting and the ocean levels possibly rising, and you have threats on the ecosystems and the animals of Antarctica as kind of like, one thing why it needs to be watched out and why they have this treaty in place to help protect it. One thing that's become more and more popular in Antarctica is tourism, believe it or not. There's a lot of cruise lines of people going down to the coast of Antarctica, maybe even getting off on Antarctica for a while. There's no permanent land-based tourist facilities. There's no hotels down there. There's no Disney World down there. But that does bring the question, should tourism be allowed in Antarctica? And that's something that people have debated for a long time. When you go down to Antarctica as a researcher or a scientist, it's a really cool journey on the ship. They had different traditions and things like that they do. They dye their hair and shave their beards for charity and all that kind of stuff. And when you get down there, let's say you want a glass of water. What you do is you take an ice pick and you chip off some ice, and you go and you actually melt it and boil it, and that's how you get your water. You know, it's not like there's no convenience stores or Myers down there or Kroger's to go down there if you need something. So you got to bring everything with you, and everything goes back with you too. All of your garbage, all of your human waste, number twos, all that stuff's got to come back with you. So they actually have like poo buckets that they can bring back with them too. So, you know, Antarctica is something that, you know, some people say with the tourism that it's important to get people to go down there, because if you go down there and see the beauty of Antarctica, when you come back to your normal lives wherever you live, you're going to want to change your lifestyle and be more green to help protect it, because you've seen the beauty and you then want to protect it more. So you're going to, you know, use less garbage and use less fossil fuels and maybe carpool more and do all those things to help protect the environment. One more cool thing about Antarctica, on the 1st of January every year, someone goes out on the ice shelf and they put a little brass marker that marks the actual South Pole. So there's actually a pole, a red and white striped pole with a silver ball they put into the ice as the original South Pole. There's a picture of it here, which you probably won't be able to see, but that's it here. However, the ice shifts every year by about 30 feet or so, and so that pole is actually not accurate anymore. So what they do is they take these little brass plates and they go and they put them on the ice, which actually marks the official South Pole. And that's something that people try to travel to and get to, you know, adventurous and things like that throughout history. So that's Antarctica. It's a very harsh environment. It's a very unique place. No permanent civilization lives there. Scientists are allowed to go down there for research. There's a treaty in place to help protect it, so that countries can't mine it or use it for weapons testing. And you know, people are concerned about the melting of the ice and how it's going to affect humans around the world and animals there. All right, guys, so that's it. We are done with 7th grade social studies. Watch this video and answer the 10 questions on the Google form. I'll provide you with some feedback this week. Still gonna have office hours. If you want to pop in and say goodbye, I'd love to see you guys. Monday at 2 o'clock, Friday at 10 o'clock. I hope you have an awesome summer. Please stay safe, stay healthy. Send my best to your families, and hopefully we'll see you back at CMS in the fall of 2020. Enjoy your summer, guys. Take care.